and welcome to our latest session in this Real Estate Live UK's February week. Real Estate Live UK is a week-long programme of online events. It happens 3 times a year, February, June and October. And its goal is to keep the economic development and regeneration sectors talking at this crucial time and to aid places in their inward investment efforts. This event, our next one, is going to be hosted by the Gatwick Diamond. But before it, we're just going to be launching a short poll asking, as you can see, what will the most significant trend be for regeneration professionals in 2021? I'm delighted to introduce our next session, as I say, which is hosted by the Gatwick Diamond. During it, please do submit questions to the panel throughout the session using the Q&A function down at the bottom. If there's usually, as we found this week, there are more questions than there is time, but any questions not answered will be passed on to the panel for answering afterwards. Now, the Gatwick Diamond is a fabulous region with a glittering future, and I would say that because I live there, but you don't have to take my word for it. We have an expert panel in the capable hands of Chair Jeff Alexander, so I'm handing over to Jeff to start the event. Jeff.
Thank you, Ross. So on behalf of the Gatwick Diamond Initiative, can I invite you or welcome you to this event? We're very pleased to be laying it on in partnership with Real Estate Live. I've known Ross for many years and it's great to be partnering with him again. For those of you who don't know us, the Gatwick Diamond Initiative is a business-led partnership, and our job is to support existing investors in the region, our businesses and other investors, but also to attract new investment to the region. Now, if you're a bit puzzled as to what the geography and economy of the Gatwick Diamond is, that all will shortly be revealed by Brett North. So Brett, if you could get your presentation ready while I'm just finishing off the opening remarks so that we can go straight into it. So as Ross says, we've got a great lineup of speakers. We've got a panel session at the end. So if you could save up your questions until the end, or even better, please enter them into the Q&A. You'll see there's a tab for Q&A at the bottom of your screen. And if you could put your questions in there, then we will pick them up in the panel session at the end. Now, so if I could introduce our first speaker, I will introduce the speakers in turn, so you don't have to memorize them. So our first speaker is Brett North. Brett is Group Marketing Director for the Thacum Group, but he is also chair of the Gatwick Diamond Initiative. So wearing both hats, he's ideally placed, I think, to set the scene in terms of the Gatwick Diamond. So Brett, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So as Jeff said, I'm the chairman of the Gatwick Diamond Initiative. And this afternoon, for the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through, when we talk about the Gatwick Diamond, actually, what are we talking about? What is the region that we're looking at here? So I think the best way of describing the diamond is that we sit to the south of London, and we form that diamond shape that goes down to the English Channel, encompassing Crawley, Epsom Ewell, Horsham, Reigate, Banstead and Tandridge, as sort of local authority boundaries. And obviously in the epicentre, as you can see there, is of the business heart here is Gatwick Airport, the UK's second busiest airport, and a major driver of not just direct employment, but also a lot of the business activities that we have in the region. And I'll talk about more of what those benefits those bring. But as you can see from our location here, that we are 35 minutes from London and the city. Still, an international vibrant economic centre. We have sea connections to the south, to the continent, and we have Gatwick Airport, which is actually the best connected airport by rail, I understand, and various rail connections that take us out from there. So we're very well placed if you want to get by rail throughout the UK, up to and out of the UK, or even to Europe, which I've done many a time before in previous lives and previous jobs. So it's a great place to be. It's a great place for connections, and for any business that's looking to relocate or locate its business in the region, it's ideally placed to be able to do that. So what are the key things that we have? Well, as we already said, we've got a great location. We've also got a very strong economy, and that's surrounded by good, strong connectivity So we are not just a strong regional local activity economy. We are an economy that has connections wider than our domain would go to. The other great thing is that the Gatwick Diamond is set in a beautiful part of the world. So it's a great place to do business because of the connectivity, but also it's a great place to enjoy life. We have the South Downs, we have Brighton, we have the connectivity of getting to London. It's a very vibrant place. And I think that's an important, increasingly important part for all of us to take in. And that's attracted, not unsurprisingly, a highly skilled workforce. A number of the businesses that we have in the area, a lot of them are high productivity, high skilled jobs, highly skilled employees working across a range of high-tech companies, both in manufacturing and design and innovation, logistics and services. So it's an interesting and strong area for you to grow your business into the Gatwick Diamond area. It's a good company with a lot of good company sectors around it. So you're not coming into an area that hasn't got a lot of businesses that are already active around it. I think the other strength of the Diamond also in particular is an entrepreneurial spirit. Many of the businesses that have moved in internationally have found supply chains that have come quite quickly around as local businesses move and change and adapt to what's happening. So dynamic and innovative, yes, absolutely. Take, for example, Manor Royal and Crawley. If you talk about dynamic and innovation, not just innovations in business activity, but also innovations in general. Crawley has more intellectual property than most other cities in the United Kingdom. A lot of that driven by medtech and defence and other sectors that have come in and made Crawley or made the Gatwick Diamond or made Manor Royal or other parts of the area its home. So it's a very innovative area, lots of strong growth, consistently outperforms well above the national average when it comes in any range of indicators. The Diamond is the third most strongest economic region in the area. We'll talk a bit more about that with a gross GVA of 24 billion. Another thing I think that is most important is that 12 million people are within an hour's drive or road communications of where we are. So it comes back to that connectivity piece and be able to get around and move businesses around. It's a place to not only do business but enjoy life, and I think that is important. We are blessed in the area with a number of award-winning areas and towns and natural areas of beauty, but also we've also got a natural high quality of build and a good environment, which means that you've got staff who can enjoy that well balance of life and being with that connectivity. And I think that's also highly important as you look around areas that you're seeing developments. We've got a lot of interest currently still, even through the recent times that we've been in businesses looking into the region to come in to take advantage of where we are. I guess the other one that's really striking to us currently is the talk about the Gatwick Freeport. We are one of the areas that is working with Gatwick Airport to look at developing a Freeport. The Freeport in particular in Gatwick is in a very strong position. We are uniquely placed in many other places to make the most of that. We already have an internationally focused workforce. We have businesses that are already internationally doing. So we have a number of major companies that are working across, not just in Europe, but also across the world. So if we to see the Freeport arrive in Manor Royal, for instance, the whole of the Gatwick Diamond would benefit from that, and we could make very quick use of that both as a thing going forward. As we said before, 400,000 economically active people. So that's it's a good, strong workforce, very productive, very high rates of productivity in the region. Again, driven by, if you look at some of the businesses and groups that we have here, a lot of the businesses that have come here are either professionals and or businesses that are into high-end manufacturing, science, and other things that have attracted large amounts of people interested in R&D and other areas. So it's a very strong knowledge-based economy. It's got very, very high levels of entrepreneurship. We'll be hearing from a number of businesses that are coming here looking to make the most of that. So let's look at those major sectors. Obviously, medtech and life sciences is perhaps the one, if you don't know the region, that you're most surprised about. But we do have a very strong natural base for that. In fact, for the last 80 years, parts of Manor Royal and parts of the other parts of the business, including drugs and other life sciences industries, have flourished in the Diamond. and a large number of the intellectual property and future investments and inventions that we've seen, particularly around cancer, oncology, have come from the region. And that's attracted a number of not only amounts of work in the universities and further education, but also attracted other businesses around there to capitalise on that. Obviously, aviation, a major strong point. And when we think about aviation, let's not just think about the airport. I'm not just talking about planes and EasyJet, but also engineering and training, training cabin crews of the future, training people to keep aircraft airborne and all the rest of it, and all the various pieces that come with that. A lot of extensive trade and skill sets, a very strong data in e-commerce, and obviously logistics. Any business looking to resettle in the area or can take advantage of, I would say, internationally beating logistics companies that are used to dealing with companies that operate internationally, not only with product going out, but product coming in, but also supplying and supporting those businesses going around in the UK as well. FinTech is very hard for us. And obviously from that other work, we talked about advanced engineering and manufacturing, which are very strong sectors. I guess the best way of illuminating that is showing you what we've got. We've got the top 3 companies that on this slide, Elective, Varian, Welland, leaders in their respective medical fields. We've got international logistics. We've got KPMG and Nestle. You know, those are strong university. Godfrey Park, a very strong business group area that develops a lot of work on management training, coming up with new ways of doing business, opinion pieces and thought leaders. And then at the bottom, we've got those industries involved in manufacturing, internationally, aerospace, etc. So companies aren't alone here. There's a lot of businesses here that are doing very well and bring a lot to it. Yes, we have been impacted by COVID. Many of you would have seen the fact that, Crawley in particular is very hard hit by reduction in 78% reduction in airline activity. But don't just take my word for it. The Centre for Cities has said that Crawley is in a much stronger position to bounce back than many other cities and large towns. And that's partly because of the way the local economy is structured and the strength inherent within it. And we've already started to see demand, you've heard on the news, EasyJet, TUI, other companies starting to see demand for certainly outbound travel. And we expect that to come through there. It's not just about the airport. The business, managerial business improvement districts and other areas around them are doing very, very well during this. We have seen a number of businesses who have really innovated during the time. So we believe that puts us into a very strong position and going forward. So, and I appreciate I'm here to sort of set the scene. Other people will go into more detail from their perspectives, from what's happening on a wider base. But that gives you a flavour of where we are. We're sitting here with Gatwick Diamond, centre of travel, a place that's got high levels of trained staff and availability, interesting investment and exciting opportunities coming along. On that piece, Jeff, I'd like to hand back to you.
Well, thank you, Brett. That set the scene very well, I think, particularly for people who perhaps aren't so familiar with the Gatwick Diamond as an economic area. So I'd like to move straight on now to Adam Godfrey, Senior Partner at SHW. And Adam's going to drill a bit deeper or give us an overview in terms of current market conditions and how you see things panning out. So straight over to you, Adam.
Thank you, Jeff and Brett. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm hoping that you can see that slide. If Jeff could put his thumb up to say he can, I would be grateful. And he has done that. As Jeff has said, I'm just going to give you a very quick overview, a snapshot of opportunities throughout the Gatwick Diamond, and look at the high level of do a high level picture of demand across the Diamond, and talk a little bit about the impact that COVID-19 has had on the Diamond, but all of us. So for those of you that don't know me, I am the Senior Partner of SHW. We're a multidisciplined property services company located fairly accurately across the Diamond out of our 8 offices. We've been making property work for our various clients since 1798. And I know what some of you might be thinking, which is probably what most of my youngsters do in my firm. No, I wasn't there at the beginning. So what I've done is I've done just a very quick total up of employment opportunities across the Gatwick Diamond that could create buildings of circa 50,000 square feet and above. And some of these most of these opportunities are either in the category of sites with consent, under construction, recently completed, allocated land, and looking at land that is currently being promoted through the local plan process. And I think that will demonstrate that we are an evolving region. There's always stuff going on, which sort of endorses what Brett was alluding to as very much a vibrant place to do business. And what we're finding out of that bit of research is that something like 3.9 million square feet of potential office development opportunity across the region, something like 5.2 million square feet of industrial and logistics. Within those two set of figures, there are some, I've taken a view, there's a science part, which we'll hear a little bit about later, high-tech 50-50 buildings that sit in between the two of those. But that creates a total very impressive 9.1, nearly 10 million feet of commercial space opportunities across the Gatwick Diamond. I think that's a fairly impressive figure, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. Where are they? Well, I'm pleased to say that this little graphic shows that they're quite evenly spread throughout the diamond. And that's a good thing. It's not centred specifically on one particular area. So for businesses that are here already, you don't have to move too far to get into the building that will hopefully fit your purpose going forward. But equally, for those that aren't here and are considering relocating, it's not all about centred in one particular area. It's quite nicely spread throughout the Gatwick Diamond area. Well, what are they? Well, I'm just going to give you a very quick snapshot so you can get an overview of the type of product that the region can and is providing. The top left, my left slide is North Gatwick Gateway, south of Redhill, 177,000 square foot industrial and warehouse logistics scheme that has actually now been built and is letting, and there are occupiers there already. It's about 60% let. The Billingshurst, 250,000 square foot trade counter warehouse development. I drove past this yesterday and it was lovely to see businesses actually in there and trading. Bottom left, Crawley, an example of the quality of product that the Diamond has to offer. That's a recently completed 30,000 square foot B8 unit. And Enterprise Park in Horsham, which is a site owned by West Sussex County Council, capable of providing about 250,000 square feet of business space, and they are in the final throes of identifying a joint venture partner to bring that forward. Now, you might be thinking, there's not a lot of office space in there. Well, actually, here we go. There are two speculative office schemes currently under construction in the Diamond. You've got Edward Street Quarter in Brighton, which is 110,000 square feet right at the southern end, and right in the heart of the Diamond at Crawley in the town centre, the Create building, which has only recently been named, which is 77,000 square feet of Grade A office accommodation being built as part of the town centre regeneration programme in this part of Crawley by Crawley Council. I decided to look at some of the recent transactions just to see what that might tell us. And in the last 2 or 3 years, a quite impressive 80 acres of land has been sold throughout the Diamond. I think that's quite a good number. How about this? 22 of those 80 acres actually transacted in Manor Royal in Crawley last year. Now that's in the middle of the pandemic, and it still shows that there is demand for quality located sites within the heart of the Diamond. And most of those opportunities were competitively bidded for. So there is competition for quality sites. So who's buying them? Well, you'll hear from one of the speakers who's later, but this is just a very quick snapshot of a wealth of household names who've got significant ownerships within the Gatwick Diamond. And I think they've seen the opportunity. Perhaps you should look a little bit closely as well. I'm now just going to spend a few minutes looking at the demand picture and what does this tell us. So this is showing the average annual take-up across the Gatwick Diamond since 2016. The orange is industrial and logistics, and the blue is office. And you can see, I've done the maths for you, that's an average annual take-up of about 1.8 million square feet of commercial space throughout the Diamond. You can see, obviously, that 19 and 20 dipped below 16, 17 and 18. That was partly due to uncertainty over Brexit, but also, particularly in the industrial and logistics side, a lack of accommodation that was available. There's always a lag between demand requiring space and the market providing it. I then decided to look a little bit closely at 19 and 20 just to see what that would tell us in terms of the actual impact of COVID-19. And as you can see, the industrial and logistic take-up was actually 8% above 2019 last year. And the office market was only 12.5% below. Now that I think demonstrates the real strength and diversity across the Gatwick Diamond that we have. Clearly, as Brett has alluded to earlier, some areas have been hit much harder than others, Crawley being one. Jeff mentioned Brett mentioned the Freeport opportunity, but Gatwick Airport has been hit very hard. We don't need to. Everyone knows that it's been well publicised. Employment levels have risen significantly. Unemployment levels have been risen significantly in Crawley, which historically has an area of very low unemployment. But I'll talk a little bit about that later on, because the one thing that the area has, the fundamentals that it still has, regardless of the impact on COVID, are as follows. We have an international airport on our doorstep, a pretty unique opportunity. We have fantastic rail, road and air connectivity. We have people. We have a great level of people, a workforce, and unusually for Crawley, there is rising unemployment gives an opportunity for business to suck up those highly skilled individuals. And the other thing that we've always had in Gatwick Diamond has been collaboration between public and private sector. Now, the one thing that COVID-19 has actually taught us is actually that collaboration has gone up a significant level. There's been a real sense of working together across the public and private sector to make things happen. The businesses that are here will know that and will have benefited from that. And those of you that aren't here, why don't you come on in? Because the water's lovely. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Adam. What an invitation. That does look good. We were very keen to have an actual sort of business operating that's invested and is now operating successfully, I think, in the Gatwick Diamond. So I'm very pleased to introduce Jack Bedell-Pierce of 4D Data Centres. Jack, as he'll probably tell you, is based on the Manor Royal, not too far short of, to the south of Gatwick Airport. But Jack, over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jeff. Hello, everyone. As Jeff said, my name is Jack Bedell-Pierce. I'm the CEO and co-founder of 4D Data Centres. As the name suggests, we're a data centre operator. A lot of people probably don't know what data centres are necessarily, probably guess, but I know a lot of people are very familiar with the cloud. When I talk to elderly relatives of mine and I explain to them what we do, I like to say that if the cloud was the 21st century equivalent of the gold mine rush, then we're the guys who are selling the pitchforks and the shovels. The cloud lives in places like our data center. So as a business, we do actually provide our own cloud services and connectivity services and a bit of cybersecurity. But our core business is something called co-location. And co-location is where we're basically doing what Big Yellow Storage does, but rather than looking after members of the public's spare toilet roll and lockdown pasta, we look after other companies' servers. And the reason I'm telling you this is that the location of data centers is actually very important. A lot of people have probably heard about data centers being located in the Atlantic by Microsoft or being put somewhere like Iceland. And those are excellent places for certain types of cloud computing and certain types of compute. But for a lot of businesses where they physically need to be close to where their servers are, then actually the location of the data center is very important as well. So I started 4D back in 2007. Our first data center was located in Byfleet, which is not too far from Woking. And by the time we got to around about 2015, 2016, we were starting to run out of space in that data center. And so we started scouting around for alternative sites. We looked at Byfleet as a secondary site because we obviously, a lot of us worked and lived around that area. But other places that we also considered were Staines, Slough, Chiswick, Guildford, and of course, Crawley. Staines and Slough were ruled out mainly because there were quite a lot of competitors in that area already. Slough in particular has probably got the second largest cluster of data centres outside of the central London area. Chiswick and Guildford were also fairly well served by other data centres, but also extremely expensive. Gatwick and the Crawley area ticked a lot of boxes for us, mainly because the geographical area at the time, when we're talking about 2016, 2017, was very much underserved by the data center sector, and we felt it was right for digital improvement. We looked at a map, and I actually live in Reigate, which isn't too far. That also may have helped a little bit with our final decision. But we looked at a map and we found that we actually already had customers that were based in Brighton, Burgess Hill and Horsham, all of which were to the south of the Crawley area. And of course, we had places like Dorking, Reigate and Tunbridge Wells, which all surrounded the Crawley area. And we felt had lots of opportunities for growth because there were lots of big established businesses there. And places like Horsham and Brighton actually already have a very good thriving digital sector, which again wasn't particularly being well served by anybody for that matter. So we also looked at the business networks, and of course there was the Manor Royal bid, which is the business improvement district, Coast to Capital, Gatwick Diamond Business, the Gatwick Diamond Initiative, lots of Gatwick Diamonds in there. And we decided to take the plunge and we invested a significant amount of money, around about £2 to £3 million in the first couple of years. We spent another £1 million in the last year investing in the site and upgrading it, and we're planning on spending at least another couple of £1 million in the coming years. We're not the only ones who think that owning a data center in that area is very good. I'm pleased to say that a couple of years later, a very large competitor of ours called Digital Realty moved into the Manor Royal estate. They built a huge data center, but they actually serve a slightly different crowd to us. They very much provide data center space for enterprise customers and what we call wholesale co-location space. We're much more on the retail side, supporting small and medium-sized businesses in the area. I mentioned earlier that geography is key. Part of that is down to latency. You don't want your servers to be physically too far away from your end customers. Post-Brexit, data sovereignty is also an important matter. Companies want to know that their data is physically stored in the UK, so they're tending to opt for UK-based data centers. But like I said, perhaps most importantly, being able to drive to a data center is also really important. Commercially, being outside of London is a good point of differentiation for us. And just on a personal level and commercially, we've hit all of our targets in terms of growth over the last 4 years, having invested in the Crawley area and in Manor Royal. And we fully expect to see that growth accelerate as companies start to realise how important it is to have their servers well supported and kept online, especially now that more of us are working from home and we rely on those servers being available. So that's it for me. I'll hand back over to Jeff. I think I've just gone over my 5-minute limit, but hopefully that was a very good, quick summary of why we chose to invest in the Gatwick Diamond area.
It was very good. Thanks a lot, Jack. Okay, so I'm delighted now to introduce two colleagues from Mid Sussex District Council, Sally Blomfield and Simon Hughes. I'll introduce them both together and then they will run seamlessly into each other. One of the advantages we have in the Gatwick Diamond is some progressive local authorities, local planning authorities with their economic role as well, who positively embrace the right form of development. South East is sometimes characterised by NIMBYism, But, with our local authority partners, they are there, they do support the emphasis on the right type of sustainable development. So Sally is going to give us a bit of an overview from the mid-Sussex area, including Burgess Hill, of course. And then I think Simon is going to say a bit more in terms of digital connectivity. So Sally, I think it's over to you first.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and good afternoon, everybody. In the short amount of time that Jeff's given us today, Simon and I want to be able to give you a very quick insight into the vision, aspiration and approach taken by Mid-Sussex District Council towards inward investment and sustainable economic growth. In my capacity as Head of Planning and Economy, I have real pleasure in working with developers, investors and a lot of different businesses. And from that experience and from listening to previous speakers, it's really clear to me that there are always 4 key investment criteria. Is the local authority one which you can do business with? Is it positive? Is it collaborative? And all important, is it decisive? Are there clear deliverable investment opportunities? i.e., what about the sites? Businesses also ask about place and broader community. Will they be able to successfully relocate staff, recruit talent, retain talent, and so on and so forth? And finally, what is the infrastructure like? And that means social as well as digital and connectivity. So Mid-Sussex, as its name suggests, and as you can see on the graphic in front of you, we lie at the heart of Sussex, and we like to think at the heart of the Gatwick Diamond. Our boundaries stretch from Surrey in the north to Brighton and Hove in the south. And as Jeff said, we're recognised for our wonderful rolling landscape, which is not surprising given that 50% of our area is in the High Weald area of outstanding natural beauty. And you can see from the graphic that the bottom 10% is within the South Downs National Park. We're also known for our quintessentially historic towns and villages. But don't be mistaken, and as this slide shows, Mid-Sussex takes bold development decisions, providing they sit well within that broader quality of life context. So turning to investment questions, we believe Mid-Sussex is open for business. We pride ourselves in our excellent planning service, which we've maintained throughout the pandemic. Our determination rate of all major applications is 97% within the agreed timescales. And in line with government guidance, we've taken a pragmatic and flexible approach to ensure that we support the continued operation and development within the district. We are collaborative. We work with partners using our own assets to curate and deliver much needed flexible business units. And this image shows Base Point, now operated by Regis in Haywards Heath. The council owns the freehold, and we worked in partnership with Base Point then to deliver the space. Mid-Sussex is also very transparent about our aspirations and our approach. This slide shows a series of documents which we've produced, all available on our web pages. So our economic development strategy sets out our support for businesses, and the economic recovery plan, which you can see in the bottom corner, sets out the support that we've been giving businesses and the economy during the pandemic. Our commitment to business support has not only seen us already deliver over £36 million in government grants to around 2,600 businesses, but it's also seen Mid-Sussex using £300,000 of its own monies to support businesses to help them adapt to their offer in response of COVID-19. And our transparent approach towards site allocation is set out in our site allocations, DPD, which sees us allocate nearly 80 hectares of employment land, including the Science and Tech Park. So yes, we think we're an authority you can do business with. So what about those sites? Well, we have 21 established business parks, and you can see from the map they're spread across the district. They offer a variety of accommodation. However, we know that our vacancy rates are low, which represents the demand, and at the moment they're about 3%, which is below the market churn level of 5%. So excitingly, we're seeing new developments being delivered which have been recently granted planning permission. At the top, you can see St Modwins at Copthorne. 2 phases are being delivered of around 16,000 square metres. The first has been let to Gatwick Airport Limited. Handcross Garden Centre, bottom right, has delivered 7,800 square metres. And the last image is the hub, which has outline planning permission for 50,000 square metres, 2 phases already delivered, including 5,000 square metres for Roche Diagnostics. In addition to this, we've been talking about the Science and Tech Park. So as well as 18 hectares of land identified for general business development, the Science and Tech Park at 50 hectares, I think, represents one of the largest developments within the Gatwick Diamond area. It lies to the west of Burgess Hill, and this slide that's just come up is from the prospectus of the Science and Tech Park, and I think it shows the quality of the buildings, but also the working environment that we're working in partnership to create. So yes, I think we also have the sites. So turning to the third question, is Mid-Sussex creating sustainable communities and place? Well, we're really proud of our comprehensive approach towards place shaping. And many of you will be familiar with this graphic because we have talked extensively about our comprehensive approach towards the Burgess Hill Growth Programme. What you can see here is that we will be delivering new homes, new schools, new centre for outdoor sport, investment in the town centre, and key infrastructure investment. But I don't want to steal Simon's thunder, and he'll come on to the digital infrastructure in a minute. But we're proud to be working in partnership with Homes England over their flagship development of the Northern Arc, which will see approximately £163 million of investment, and that's the purple area to the north of Burgess Hill that you can see on the graphic. So I think we're confident that we are creating places and sustainable communities. This slide repeats some of those that you've already seen, but puts Mid-Sussex in context. And as it's already said, we are fabulously well connected as part of the Gatwick Diamond and South England. And then for me, my final slide shows some of the key investment being delivered. So our partnership approach, supported at all levels of government, has seen significant grant investment in Burgess Hill, totalling over 40 million, including monies from central government and the Coast Capital LEP. And this investment is largely in infrastructure. The top image, and apologies if you've been impacted by this, shows £22 million upgrade, dualling the 2300. And then we've got a variety of images underneath, which shows delivery of a comprehensive 22.8 million sustainable transport package, which by 2025 will have delivered 53 kilometres of walking and cycling facilities, connecting all those fabulous business parks that we've shown you earlier. So I'm going to hand over at that point to Simon.
Thanks, Sally. I'm going to talk about, as Sally said, what we're doing to meet the connectivity demands of business. And in the poll that Ross talked about, one of those questions that you could have voted on was the demand for better connectivity. And this is actually addressing that very key issue. Brett's talked about connectivity, and you've heard from Jack, who's talked particularly about data centres and the need for data and all their clients and what they demand. So to give you some key context, the demand for connectivity, fibre connectivity, wireless connectivity, 4 or 5G connectivity, or if you're an innovator, the next 6G connectivity is critical for business growth. And there's also significant evidence that you'll probably know better than me about the increased rents that can come from sites that have good connectivity. So we've seen increased demand. We've talked about, Jack has talked about the cloud. We know about 5G and the growth in technologies there, not just for digital industries, but for all sorts of industries. I was earlier in Real Estate Live talking about agritech and the significant growth in agritech and technology around there. Reliability is key. Within the Gatwick Diamond, we have the key connection that goes between the London Stock Exchange and the Paris Stock Exchange. That's a point-to-point connection, has to be always on. And the company that provide that have, as you can probably imagine, significant fines if that drops out. So connectivity and fibre in the ground is critical. And there's a massive growth of the Internet of Things. So if you haven't already got your connected fridge, you will do. But as you know, probably from the experience around COVID, wherever you are globally, connectivity is playing a key function in how businesses can continue and how markets grow. Don't just take it from me. This is data to show that the growth in data demand is becoming exponential. That might not be a surprise to you. But if you look at this, this is data that's on the actual growth. And as you can see from that blue curve, it is increasing or increase rapidly. And then for those of you that are nerdy, that might just be me and Jack. This is in exabytes. So if you can imagine, a gigabit is effectively the size of the world. An exabyte is the size of the sun. So that's the growth in data demand that we're talking about. And that data demand is both within businesses, digital and non-digital, and within homes, people, how they live in their homes, what they expect to be able to do in their homes, how their homes function, whether it's about the green agenda, whether it's about smart cars, smart heating and so on. So the demand is really clear. And I think for any area to have any credibility to get significant growth in business terms and for people moving there, it has to have cutting edge and leading digital connectivity. I won't go through this, but for those of you that are as old as me, there's probably very few around. The pictures at the bottom show you what we used to have to take around with us before we took around smartphones. So your smartphone now has more capability than all those devices together. And as you can see, that's the growth of the market in data, the demands that we see. So even if you're in manufacturing, you will probably have machinery that provides data on a second by second basis on how productivity is going and how effective that machinery is in delivering what you need it to do. So this is the work that we're doing in the Gatwick Diamond area. The map you see before you is where we are putting dark fibre. So this is bundles of fibre that can provide connectivity for the next 30 to 50 years within the area. And what you will note is it covers lots and lots of geographical places, from Brighton, where we are connecting with some of the innovation centres in Brighton, and putting that right through our key towns and cities, so that we can connect up and provide that opportunity for businesses and critically the market to exploit those connections and develop further products and services to anyone who wishes to locate here, be they public or private business. And we're working closely with those leaders in the market to provide that connectivity. Critically, it also provides connectivity to the rural areas that Sally's talked about, that beautiful environment within, some of the reasons why people move here, because they can explore the South Downs, they can look at the outstanding areas of natural beauty, and this provides connectivity to those areas and those businesses in those areas. Just to give you some indication of the projects that we're working on, the millions you see there before you that's just the public sector money going into these initiatives. There's also private sector money that's matching and exceeding that. That is delivering a lot of dark fibre. So a lot of fibre that then provides the connections that everyone needs. So if you like, it's putting the motorway in that then the roads can come off from. So it's key to connectivity in the whole Gatwick Diamond area. We haven't just randomly put this in the ground in a picture that looks like a sort of line that's running incoherently round. It's been mapped so it goes past lots of premises, lots of business sites, current and planned. The projections that we have and some evidence already is that it's jobs are being created in the back of it. We've actually started just in commissioning this work. There are firms that are moving here because they see the growth in fibre and see that there is a business now, not just to put fibre in the ground, but also to connect it up and to manage it and to provide other services. So we have got businesses moving to the area on the back of that. And the projections, as you see, are significant increases in GVA just in the narrow areas that we've done the modelling on around these fibres. That's only within a 5 mile distance of these fibres. But obviously, as the connectivity grows, that will increase. So finally, I just want to say why this is important and why it matters to any investors, whether you've got an existing business or you're thinking of coming here.
Sorry, Simon, you will need to wrap up quite quickly.
I'll be very quick. Strategic located, you know the location. You've seen that. Everyone has said us how well linked we are and the skills that lie here. It's resilient. So as I said, if you are connecting, you want a 24/7 connection. The design of this fibre enables that. And then to move on, we have high standards. The standards are world leading in terms of this fibre productivity, and we have some significant global companies delivering this on our behalf. And then also it's the growth in technologies. You've already heard about the clusters of businesses. So, the leading social media analysis marketing company in Brighton, it's a global leader. Brandwatch is interested in using some of this data support in order to be able to continue to be a global leader. So all of this is critical to any modern business. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. Sorry to rush you, Simon. And
that's all right.
And thanks to Sally as well. So I want to move on very quickly to Andrew Phillips, Development Director of Legal and General. Legal and General, as many of you know, are making a major investment in North Horsham, and I think that's what Andrew is going to focus on, but I'll leave that to him. Andrew, over to you.
Hello, just to repeat, I actually joined Legal and General at the end of last year as Development Director for Strategic Land and Major Projects, which in essence is a business that promotes strategic land through to get planning consent and act as master developer, working in conjunction with a number of legal and general businesses in the delivery of sites. I was asked today just to give us an honest view of why we've invested in the Horsham area with this site. And to give you I thought it's just worth very briefly outlining the project, why we committed and why we committed it to this town. In 2018, Legal and General acquired the options to take control of the land at North Horsham, which is 500 acres. The site benefits from an outline planning consent for 2,750 homes, 2 primary schools, a new secondary school, 500,000 square foot of business park, 60,000 square foot of retail. And within the site, there's major significant country park, land safeguarded for a railway, and a lot of additional leisure uses. So a sizable commitment. Why did Legal and General commit to this town, and why were they interested in pursuing this site? Well, Legal and General are obviously a pension fund, keen to promote themselves as a key player in the delivery of housing and mixed-use sustainable communities. Horsham provides an excellent opportunity for them to do that. As a pension fund, Legal and General separate themselves from a lot of house builders because they can take a longer term view in the delivery of sustainable communities and sites with key expensive infrastructure to be delivered at the outset. Taking the site at North Horsham, the Section 106 and the infrastructure package associated with that site is well in excess of £200 million as a commitment. And we are currently on site doing the initial highways and access roads into the site to enable delivery of housing, which will start in summer this year. Working within the Legal and General umbrella, I'm fortunate enough to have the benefit of utilising additional Legal and General companies in the delivery of site. For example, we've got under the umbrella Carla Homes, L&G Affordable, Legal and General Build to Rent, Inspired Living that specialise in retirement and sheltered housing. In addition to which, Legal and General have a modular house building company, so we can draw on a lot of resources to deliver an exemplar scheme and hopefully set the standards for the area going forwards. I genuinely believe we're going to deliver a truly sustainable mixed-use community on the site. Why Horsham? Well, as a local person, I've always lived just outside Dorking, so on the edge of the Diamond, and this site sits just on the north edge of Horsham, close to Gatwick. So there's a lot of benefits going for the site, which I won't go over in depth because Brett gave a very good introduction at the beginning of the benefits. But Horsham as a town, to take our investment, is probably from my own experience of working within the Southeast, it's one of the strongest and most resilient towns, probably outside the M25. It has the benefit of a good range of shopping facilities, attractive park, etc. It's got the great communication links, A23, A24, so there's always going to be strong demand for housing locally. And housing, Horsham as a town, has shown steady house price inflation over the last 15, 20 years and a resilience to the market. And within the marketplace, if you're building a sustainable communities, there's a good demand from all age groups. There's the family market. It's got an elderly population as well. It's got a private rental market. So it very well works for us as a business. In addition, I actually would like to say that from my own experience of Horsham Council and dealing with West Sussex, they are very supportive of business and in delivery of sites such as ours. So it's actually a pleasure to have a site in this part of the world to deliver the scheme going forwards. I'll probably also mention that the scheme's a 15-year minimum project, and hopefully in the future we've also acquired as Legal and General about 350 acres just outside Gatwick, which also shows our commitment to the area for the future years. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. That's great to hear. We haven't left ourselves too much time for questions, but I would like all the panelists, please, if they could unmute themselves and put their video on. I appreciate that colleagues from other bits of the Gatwick Diamond might be feeling a bit left out. And obviously in a discovery session like this, we've had to highlight particular areas. But this is the start, not the end of something in terms of the Gatwick Diamond Initiative and how we promote the Gatwick Diamond. So there will be opportunities for all. I'd like to start with a question sort of prompted by a comment made in the Q&A. That's to do with connectivity. Brett rightly made a lot about the value of the connectivity we have in the Gatwick Diamond, internationally, domestically, ports, airports, rail and road. But like any successful economy in the world, we can also suffer from congestion. So would anyone like to develop? I'm going to look to you probably, Brett, for initial comment on, you can get stuck on the road here sometimes. Your train is sometimes delayed. But what would you say in response to that point?
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Railways, always an interesting one. I think we have in the past had a number of well-publicised issues when it comes to rail connectivity. I know that the provider has spent a lot of time trying to come across that and cut across that. The bottleneck, I think, was the exact question, was, how we do that. It is known that is a bottleneck. I think part of the issue that made it worse, that there was issues regarding how the timetable was run. There was a big timetable schedule, and I think that exacerbated the issue that is there. All I can talk about personally is that I used to spend 3 days a week in Brussels every other week on behalf of a company, and I used to use the rail connection into London and then into Eurostar and out again as a way of connecting into Brussels, and used it fairly extensively for connecting with financial institutions in London. I have been caught on the railway. Equally, I have been caught on the M25 and the M3 and other motorways in exactly the same way. So and I've spent 2 days waiting for a flight from United parts of the world. I'm not trying to make light of the issue, but yes, we have had certainly issues. It is something that the region is aware of, and certainly not just the Gatwick Diamond Initiative, but many groups, business groups around it, including those in the Chamber of Commerce, the LEP, the local LEP, and all those organisations have heavily been pushing with government and providing support for Network Rail to be able to address that issue at a level, and we continue to do so. I think at the moment we're going to find a situation where government, certainly at a national level, where perhaps we might need to be putting more pressure on to have other things in their mind, particularly around about COVID-19. But yes, it is an issue. It has been an issue in the past, and you're quite right, Jeff. With success comes problems, but we are aware of that and look to move forward on that. Yeah. Hopefully, that's gone part of the way to addressing where we are and where we hope to be.
Jeff, could I possibly comment to that point as well? I think we all recognise that infrastructure is really important, and that was part of the point I was trying to emphasise in my presentation. And I think we have been successful through collaboration to secure quite a lot of government investment in infrastructure. And I only highlighted a couple of examples within my presentation. So 22 million in the dualling of the 2-300. Over 20 million in our sustainable transport package, which, as I said, will deliver over 53 kilometres of alternative modes of transport. Now that, you may say, what's that got to do? But it is modal shift. So we are encouraging people to transfer from the private individual vehicle into alternative modes of transport, thereby increasing capacity. We could have talked about investment in our stations, particularly at Burgess Hill, and we are securing and successfully securing further investment in those. And then I think turning specifically to the Croydon bottleneck question, there was a second round consultation which closed at the end of last year, and Network Rail is looking at significant investment in unblocking that, what's called the Croydon bottleneck, but it has to go through a Transport and Works Act order. So that has a process that has got to be gone through, but we're all supporting and advocating improvements to the Brighton Main Line. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, thanks a lot. And Sally, while I've got you, I think the next question is actually, I think, for you or Simon anyway. Will you be using digital engagement tools to consult the local community as you take your sort of planning process forward?
I can start, and then Simon can zhuzh me up if I need more support. But yes, we certainly, as I said, didn't close our doors because of the pandemic. We were very keen to continue operating our planning and development service, and so we continued to consult digitally on documents. So we had a Mid-Sussex design guide, we had a Haywards Heath master plan, and we've had the site allocations DPD, and we've conducted all of those digitally. And what we're trying to do is make our web pages more interactive and more exciting and accessible. But yes.
Sorry, Simon, I won't be able to let you come in on that one because I need to wrap up. There are some comments that we haven't picked up, but we'll sort of highlight them. And that's to do with the balance. We've talked a lot about the economy and economic development and supporting the economy. But, comments have been made in terms of the cultural and heritage, and no doubt the environmental side of things as well, the three-legged stool of sustainability. And I would just, my sort of concluding remark in a way is that is actually a big strength of the Gatwick Diamond. It's the place to do business, but it's the place for quality of life, and it's the place to enjoy an excellent environment. And we've heard about some of that from Sally and from Brett. I hope you've enjoyed that as a sort of a discovery process, which is all it is. I hope I haven't upset people by missing out on any of the big developments they'd love to have heard more about. But as I say, we will cover that at the next opportunity. So all that remains for me now is to thank you all for attending, and we've had a really good attendance. To thank the panel and to apologise that they haven't had longer to act as a panel, and to thank Ross and his colleagues for all the work that they've put into organising this event, which I think, despite my terrible chairmanship on the timing side, has gone very well. So I'm just going to conclude by handing back to Ross, who's going to round things off, and then we're on our way.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and thank you, panel, for a really interesting session. Yeah, you did leave a lot out, obviously, but that's because there's so much going on. I know, because every time I go out, which I do less than I used to, I suppose, but I see so much happening around the area. So thanks very much, Jeff. Thanks very much, panel. That's the end of that one. We have one more Real Estate Live session today. We're heading off to Suffolk now. Gosh. You better go quickly, although I imagine it's Suffolk, so it'll be on a fairly leisurely timetable. There's more tomorrow. We have a great session involving me again about Waltham Forest, North London, and we have a session in the afternoon on placemaking along with a couple of others. Check the website, realestatelive.co.uk, to see those events and register for them. Thank you for joining this event. We look forward to seeing you at another. Real Estate Live is back tomorrow, and we'll also be back in June and October. We'll see you then. Thanks very much. Bye.